Hi everyone, welcome to the April National Online Chapter Meeting of the Building Designers Association of Australia. My name is Jennifer Binns. I've been off air for a few months, so it's good to be back with you. I'm joining you from Tasmania, and Sarah Jane is with us from head office in New South Wales. Use the chat box as you've started doing, just to let us know where you're logging in from, and thank you for joining us. We've got two speakers today, Siva from Tools and Adam from TechLed. Before we get started though, some notes for you on just BDAA activities. Our BDAA chapters are in full swing. We've got 19 face-to-face events happening across Australia in the coming weeks, and these gatherings are the perfect opportunity to connect with fellow designers and bring along a friend or a colleague to introduce them to the association. So if you're not receiving information about chapter events, please reach out because there's lots happening. We're also excited to announce the BDAA National Festival of Design has been officially confirmed to be held in New South Wales this year, earmarked for October. We'll reveal all the details as soon as we have them, but stay tuned for what promises to be a fantastic event. The latest edition of By Design magazine has been released and it looks fantastic. This edition is all about design trends and is an online magazine dedicated to designers. All member images from the Design Award submissions are used as much as possible to give every member an opportunity to be represented and displayed. And if you want to write an article or have it included in the next edition on the topic of interiors, please reach out to Sarah Jane at media@bdaa.com.au. Great to see everyone using that chat box. Hello, everyone. There is a unique field trip for those located in the Gympie area. In collaboration with Hind Timber, this is a unique opportunity to explore sustainable forest management and its impact on our planet. This field trip offers a hands-on experience of sustainable forest management and the certification process and showcases the responsible supply chain associated with certification. During the trip, you'll visit the DAF Mary Valley Araucaria Forest, HQ Plantations, Tulara Nursery, the Southern Pine Forest Operations and Hind Timber Tuan Mill. The event provides insights into how timber is the ultimate renewable material and demonstrates the benefits of responsible sourcing and how responsible wood certification helps improve the quality of forests and the livelihoods of those who depend on them. The trip is free of cost and includes minibus transport to all sites, catered lunch, morning and afternoon tea, and a detailed itinerary upon registration. Spots are limited, so don't miss out on this unique opportunity to learn how to become a responsible consumer and contribute to a better world. The field trip departs from Gympie at 8 a.m. and returns at 5 p.m. So please contact Sarah Jane at media@bdaa.com.au to register your interest and find out more. So the original presentation from Wattle that was planned for today has been rescheduled for next month, and our first speaker today is Siva Gaunda from Tools. Many of you will have seen and used the Tools app already, which provides building designers with interactive, easy to understand graphic explanations of the National Construction Code standards. And BDAA has been a foundational partner and supporter of Tools. The project was founded by Jerry Tyrrell, which aimed to prevent costly mistakes by transforming the National Construction Code and reference documents into simple graphics. Siva Gaunda leads the Tools project, and he joins us today to talk about some of the latest developments for designers. Hi, Silva. How are you?
Hello. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for joining us.
Very good. My pleasure. I got the call up a couple of minutes ago, so here I am. Digital magic. All right.
Are you ready to go? I'll hand over to you.
Ready to go. So let me share my screen if I may. And just give me a thumbs up if you can see that.
Yes.
Starry night.
Yep.
Or a dawn. So anyway, hello, 270 odd participants. It's great. We loved attending the conference last year. You're such an engaged bunch. We had a really great time in Melbourne. So thank you again for the invite. I've got an express 15 minutes, I think, to do a little bit of an update on what's happening with the Tools project, and then I think 5 minutes of Q&A. So let me jump into it. I will move through a little bit quickly, but let's see how we go. So for some of you know about the Tools project, for some of you it's new, but in essence, Tools is seeking to simplify knowledge. There is no shortage of construction knowledge out there. It's contained in volumes and PDFs and whatnot. But the core thing is that we're looking to do is to simplify that knowledge, make it accessible to everyone, whether you're in the design cohort or right down to the construction phase of a project. And the first way in which we do that is through a graphical representation of the building codes. People in construction, or humans in general, we weren't cut out to read pages and pages of text, right? So a picture tells 1,000 words, and a graphical representation can communicate information far better than a bunch of text. So that's the first thing that Tools does, is graphically communicates complex, often complex codes. The other thing that's increasingly becoming apparent, the power of which is this approach that we've taken, is an integrated knowledge approach, which, if you think about the codes, a lot of the standards and so forth are siloed. So you've got AS3000 and electrical, you've got the access codes, you've got the fire standards. And often people will approach a project with the blinkers on and just be seeking to meet the objective of a single code. And often in doing so, they miss the objectives of other disciplines. So the room I'm sitting in, it's possible because of multiple disciplines. And what Tools does is it takes this integrated knowledge approach rather than a siloed approach to knowledge. And the other two key things that you won't find often in code documentation is an awareness around risk. These are the things that a master craftsman might tell an apprentice, hey, watch out for that and that, along with best practice, but you won't often find in the documented codes. So this is really what Tools is looking to do, is to combine some of this into a graphical piece. Just a little bit of an update from us and what we've been up to since Melbourne last year. It's been exciting. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. We're chatting with increasingly with the design groups. Obviously, the BDAA is a foundational partner. We're chatting with certifiers now. We've attended a few conferences of late. Certifiers are getting behind this. Enterprise builders. So we've got an example here with Richard Crooks, who we're engaging with. So we're looking to have tools being used across the construction project. And so a key influencer in that process are designers. So we're really looking to you guys to actually to help drive some of this change. So a quick fire, a few slides on how you can use tools for design success. So in your everyday practices. The first one is to check tools when verifying. So if you don't have your mobile phone out, grab out your phone and scan that QR. I want you to experience just how quickly you can find information versus looking it up on a PDF or another document. So grab that. I'll give you a couple more seconds to scan that, and that'll take you straight through to a representation of the smoke alarm. So I'll click that and just load that for you. And so Tools as I've said, it's a graphical representation. You can zoom around, you can find the information you want. The relevant reference documents are there, and a summary of the particular the information is contained within. Okay, so and then I know Chris Sneeran from the BDAA is a big fan of bushfire construction, and this tool, which Jerry, the founder, he loves this tool also because of the ease at which you can adjust. You can adjust knowledge. So you can imagine if you're on a site where it's got two different bell ratings. So you might at one, and I think Chris actually said to me he was on a project where it was bell 19 at one end of the house, and when you walk to the other side of the property, it was a bell 40. So simply by adjusting the bellometer, as Jerry has coined it, you can get different codes, right? And it makes it extremely simple for you to not only reference for yourself, but to your contractors as well. So let's go. My phone is ringing. I don't think that's you guys, so I'll go on. The other thing is clarifying conflicting information. Now, I touched on this around the different disciplines that go into, in this example, it's a threshold, right? So you've got 4654, which is talking about the actual, the threshold, and then you've got the access codes, and then you've got the termite codes, all with different objectives. So often in meeting the objectives of one, you sometimes miss the objectives of others. So what Tools seeks to do, and again, you can scan that if you haven't already done, and you can get access to that zero threshold tool. And on the left, we've got the incumbent solutions, right? This is from the books. But I'll click that and just show you the zero threshold tool as that loads. I'm hotspotting from my phone. My internet's down at the moment, so if it's a touch slow, you'll excuse me. But this covers, you know, the obviously you've got a level access there. You've got the membrane height, and also a note about termite management there. So this is and I won't go into details here, but you've got this integrated approach here. So this can help you when communicating to your clients, to your contractors, and also in your specification. The other one, and this is a famous one, and if you think about your hourly rate, right, what you're charging yourself out at, and the number of times or minutes, hours that you spend communicating or trying to communicate with various stakeholders, be it the client or right down to the contractor, about your requirements. This is unpaid work often, right? So instead of sending them blocks of code and sketching things up and saying, this is what I mean, go ahead and scan that. If somebody's saying, what do you mean my gate hinges are not compliant? You can simply find the relevant tool and send them an SMS, right? And say, yeah, this is what I mean. It's a climbing risk, right? So the pool safety tool here has got a lot of information in it. So if you consider this graphical representation for yourself to look up when you reference, but also to communicate. And you can communicate using these share functions here. So there's a share here. You can click that there. And the beauty is if you zoom right into something and you click share, the recipient will see the same view as you. So you can be on the phone to them and say, look, I'll just send you something and I'll explain. And again, come back to your time and what that's worth. Okay, so that's one example. Another one is electrical outlets. What do you mean I can't put my power outlet there? That's a common one from clients. So go ahead and scan that if you like. I'll give you a couple of seconds. And again, when you think about all of the subtleties, and I think a lot of these, you don't want to be on site checking this stuff, right? So the wet area electrical safety tool covers a lot of aspects. You've got the different zones there around a basin. You've got the showers and all the particular rooms. I'll just zoom out and just scan across. You've got the laundry aspects as well. Okay, so a lot of information captured here. And again, the referencing the relevant codes as well. Okay, so it's AS3000 there. Okay, so that's another one, is use tools to simplify your communication. Yeah, so just share them, and then you're on the same page looking at a similar thing. Now here's the new development. We got a lot of feedback from the design community, BDAA, but also others that we're speaking with, saying, look, I really want to start referencing tools in my documentation. I want to specify tools. How can I do that? So something that's in development at the moment, which I'm very keen to get your feedback on. So feel free to reach out to us, and I can give you a little bit more information on this. It's your ability to export tools into your documentation. So we're allowing 3 methods to do that. The first is a whole tool export, a lasso export, where you select, zoom in and select on a particular area. And the last one is what we're calling a spec block. And so and that's going to allow you to then put that into your drawing set. And I know how much you'll love creating specifications. So one of our goals is to really simplify that specification process. So you can just go through tools, tick, 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 export, and now you've got your specification documentation. Jerry's creating a cover sheet, a nice succinct 2 to 3 page cover sheet, which really gets to the crux of the spare stocks. And so we're going to share that with you all soon. That's still in development. But just on the whole tool export, being able, and we've got designers that are doing this. There's a BDAA member, Jason Klump, who's doing this today. And he's saving a heap of time by doing this. So you can use that. And when you export a tool, it exports the graphic, but also all of the relevant codes. Okay. I know I'm going through this quickly, but we're low on time. The second one is a lasso selection. So zoom right into something, export, and then you can then export that as either an A4 or an A3 high resolution document. The important thing that gets generated when you do this, if you see at the bottom here, is there's a little QR code and a link. So if the viewer is looking at this on a screen, they can click the link and then go straight to the drawing. If they're on site, or perhaps you're on site talking to someone, you all can just scan the QR code and go straight to the drawing. So now you're all rallying around a common understanding or interpretation of the codes, rather than this miscommunication, misinterpretation that occurs today. The other cool thing that we're doing with this is we're developing a thing called frozen in time. So the date at which you specify the blocks, so what's the date today? It's the 4th, I think. Lose track, but the date at which you specify will lock that drawing in time. So when you specify it, if you come back 2-3 years later and you scan that QR code, it'll go back to the version at the date at which you generated it. That's important because our drawings continually change as code updates. We've got the new National Construction Code out. So those codes are constantly evolving. So that'll lock it in time. More on that later. The spec block export, you'll be able to export a little block and then drop it onto your drawings, right? So rather than you having to recreate standard details, right? Standard details are standard. You should be doing all of the customized details. So to save your time, specify tools, drop it on your drawing, and then you can say build this in accordance to tools. Okay, and then somebody can then just scan that and get access to those standard details. So that was a bit of a whirlwind. I think we're up with our 15 minutes. So actually, I will just go really quickly on our features roadmap. So we're releasing Teams within a week or so. Now, what Teams is, it simply allows you, for organizations which are more than a single person, to pool your teams together and just have a single billing option. At the moment, Tools is only solo subscriptions. So Teams is getting released soon. So if you've got a team of 3, 4, 5, you can have them all under the one subscription. We're also developing version control. So AJ, Andrew Johnson, who heads up our content team, they're busily updating everything for the NCC 22/23, depends on which perspective you're coming from. And that'll allow you to have an NCC version switcher. So when you're looking at our drawings, you can say, look, show me 2019 or show me 2022, and it'll all change based on that. That's in development. I'm building up the Spec Tools prototype, which I just showed you through. Jerry's extremely excited about the training tools, right? So you can imagine if you go onto the zero threshold tool, for example, and you press play and it goes bang, 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 teaches you the key things that you need to know about this. So you can gradually increase your knowledge, gain CPD points as well. And so these are micro learning modules that we're developing. So very excited about that. But all of those, realistically, they're going to be released probably later in June. So Spec Tools, training tools, and our NCC version switcher. So look out for that. 23, we've got some very cool stuff. The thing that I'm really excited, everyone's going on about chatbots and things. The AI assistant is something that I'm very excited about. So remember when a spell checker came into, I think it was Microsoft Word, and then it underlined compliance issues. Now imagine a bot that scans your drawings and goes, ooh, compliance issues, and checks for you. Still a long way to go before we get there, but that's the potential of AI assistance. I think that's about it for me. I'm happy to take some Q&A. Jennifer?
Thanks, Siva. That was a great presentation. This is going from strength to strength, isn't it? It's really exciting.
Exciting, yeah. Yep.
There are some questions that have come through. Do you want me to read them out for you?
Yes, please.
Is there a demo video on tools and how to use it?
No, but hopefully we recorded this and maybe this can be. I mean, we depending on the group. So there's an Illawarra chapter of the BDAA. I think there's 20 or 30 of them getting together next week. We're going to do something like this. So if there's a group of you, I'm happy to jump on and do a quick 15, 20-minute thing like this.
Yep.
As far as a video, yeah, good suggestion. Maybe I'll record one so that they can be reused.
Sure. How much will the Teams version cost?
Yes, so the Teams version, so as a solo member, you get access to the BDAA, sorry, one thing I forgot to mention is the member special is there. So the public price is $29.99, but as a BDAA member, you get access to this reduced rate. So Teams will give you a discounted rate. I've actually got to chat with SJ and Chris about that, but it will be a discount on this. So when you've got more than one team member, you unlock another tier, and it'll be a few dollars off. I mean, there's not a lot of margins in these things, but we want to add value to your lives.
Yep. So where do members go for the discount? So
scan that. That should, now if you don't, the other thing is you can go to our website is buildingtools.co, buildingtools.co, not tools, so just build. And then if you just do /BDAA, that'll take you to this member only offer, and that page is there and it's got all the details. So buildingtools.co /BDAA, or if you want to just screenshot that QR code will take you there.
Okay.
So those are the options.
So Jason has asked, will the tools be integrated with SketchUp as well, as he uses that more than Revit or ArchiCAD or even AutoCAD?
Yeah, you know, we've, and as you know, there's different CAD software. So one of the things that we want to do is do a direct integration. So we've got to start somewhere. We're probably going to start with Revit first. But although I'd be quite open to doing a survey and seeing what software is the most popular, and then we'll do an integration. So we'll probably start with one popular piece of software, then we'll expand to others. Yep. Work in progress.
So Shirley has asked, she says, I have a question related to the updating to the latest NCC. And I guess that was my question as well. How are you going to manage all of the differences between states now?
Yeah.
With some of the new changes that are coming in?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So our content team, I think there's 12 of us now. It's probably our biggest investment in this project is our technical team who are interpreting and so on. So again, we start with the biggest, the most popular tools. So fire, waterproofing, and we'll expand fabric. We'll interpret, update, and then offer that out. The other important thing is, as we love member feedback because it really assists us. So for example, if you're on a particular, hang on a sec, don't go there. What's going on? So if you're on a particular tool, and you have a question or something's not clear, you can always scroll down and give us feedback, or you can click the feedback tool here. So we get a lot of questions and clarifications and sometimes suggestions on how to improve tools. So please jump on and give us feedback. We really value that. And someone will reply to you within a couple of days at latest.
Sure.
Yep.
Marie has asked, is all of the NCC on tools?
No. The NCC and reference documents represents roughly about 23,000 pages of text. So it's a job and a half. And then some. So what we're doing is we're seeking to digitize the most accessed tools, but then we've got a content roadmap, and that content roadmap is really dictated by customer feedback. So people are coming on saying. So recently we got a flurry of requests for doing SDA tools, and so now we have Cameron Lincoln. He actually is part of the BDAA. They're up north. I think Sunshine Coast, and they're collaborating with us, and we're building a bunch of SDA tools. So your feedback directly impacts. So if there's certain things that you can't find on there, get in touch, and then we'll schedule that in our roadmap.
Greg has asked, are we locked into, he says prescription time. I'm wondering if that's meant to be subscription.
Is there a typo in here? Probably.
Maybe.
No, it's a month to month. And you know what, there's also, so Jerry's vision of this, so Jerry Tyrrell is a founder, his vision was to unlock knowledge for all. So there is a free tier, so that we're going to always maintain a free tier. You're just limited to look at 10 tools a month. So you always have that option. So if you've got a bigger team, maybe a few want to subscribe, and so you have that option. And if you want to go the month by month, there's no lock-in. You just cancel whenever you want. Or annual, you get the value of a discounted annual rate. And we're finding almost 80% of our customers are just choosing annual. It's for again, I come back to your hourly rate, and if you think about the time saving, it's often a no-brainer. And but you have those options.
There are a couple of questions. So the first, Martin has said, does tools include access to all Australian standards? Does this mean there's no need to pay for accessing buying standards? I could answer that one, but I'll let you answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's the vision, right? Though the NCC will always be the governing code, so it'll always be there. But what we're looking to do is represent that on tools. I imagine to get the full coverage, it's going to probably take at least another year, right? As our team up, our content team is probably going to grow to 30 to 40 people. Along with your support, will enable that. So eventually, I think today tools will do 80% of your everyday stuff. But it's not we're not saying go away and throw away your other subscriptions. We're saying it'll be a transition to a point where that's the plan.
Sure. So there's a couple of questions about the CPD program. There's a link on your website and it says unlock the CPD program when you become a member. And
Yep.
George has asked, how do you use these CPD points towards?
Yeah. So the CPD was actually released a little bit earlier than anticipated. What we want to do is, in collaboration with groups such as yourselves, we want to run programs. So we might pick a tool. Jerry has got a crazy amount of knowledge, so he might attend either a webinar, or we'll create those micro training modules, which you can, in your own time, go through and earn points. But we need to do them in collaboration with groups such as the BDAA. So it's still work in progress. Give us 2 to 3 months to actually properly roll that out, and then you'll be able to start getting CPD stuff. So the CPD at the moment is more symbolic, if you will. It's just, so it's not, I would wait until the training gets rolled out. Yep.
Okay. Very good. I think that is all the questions. Unless I've missed any, please raise your hand, but I'm trying to just look through the chat box as well. I think that's answered everyone's questions. Thank you very much for joining us at such
Great. No problem. My pleasure.
Wonderful to hear those updates, and it's a fantastic tool. So if you haven't seen it, go and check it out.
Terrific. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks very much, Seva. So our second presentation today is from Adam Strumpman from Tech LED. So let me introduce you to Adam. He's a skilled business development manager with a specialization in Tech LED lighting. Adam has an impressive track record of working on a variety of projects ranging from large commercial and multi-residential endeavours with companies like Mirvac to collaborating with small-scale residential designers. With his in-depth knowledge of lighting specifications and technical know-how, Adam is the perfect resource for any questions or concerns related to lighting. Whether it's discussing a current project or exploring potential solutions, Adam is always ready to grab a cup of coffee and lend his expertise. Sounds like kind of a chap. Adam, have we got you online?
Thanks for the kind introduction.
Welcome.
Okay?
Are you ready to go?
I am ready to go. I think technically we're all set. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, we can.
Great, great.
I'll hand over to you.
Beautiful. Okay, can everybody see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Beautiful. Okay, great.
Thank you.
So, at TechLed, we work closely with lighting designers, builders, architects, shop fitters, and consultants to provide innovative custom lighting solutions that meet specific needs. Our solutions are designed to incorporate the latest product innovations, design trends along the lines within J6 regulations, energy efficiency, sustainability, compatibility, and of course, obviously, electrical safety standards. As a supplier and local manufacturer, we offer the flexibility to source products located overseas and/or make them locally with our factory in Sydney or Queensland. This is particularly beneficial for designers as it reduces the reliance on overseas suppliers and provides greater control over the production process, particularly in the last few years, as we've seen a significant delay and challenges within global importing and sourcing. So who are you? I thought we'd run through a quick little poll just to see who's in the audience today, and I can get a better understanding of who is who's online. So who are you? Are you a building designer, an architect, a landscape architect, interior designer, thermal performance assessor, students? And then do you use a lighting designer or do you specify your own products? If you could just fill out the little poll that's popped up. We'll be shaming anybody who doesn't. Okay, so the results are in. The clear probably obvious, of 86% building designers, 12% architects, 1% landscape architects, 3% interior design, 4% thermal performance assessor, and 2% of students. And 37% of you do use lighting designers for your projects, which is interesting to hear. And we'll go through a few different kind of scenarios why they might be helpful or unhelpful. And of course, 67% do your own designs, which is also can be good depending on the projects and how you want to allocate your time. So let's keep going. Thank you for answering that. Okay, so today we're going to talk about your landscape lighting plan. As you can see in the photo, this is actually a slide we've used to show the animation possibilities, but we'll go through animation a little bit later. So this is just basically an introduction thing. We're going to talk about Australian and how Australians love to entertain outdoors. So this is a particularly important part of any local projects. Australians love to entertain outdoors, especially because of the warm climate and stunning natural beauty. The outdoor lifestyle is deeply ingrained in our culture, having barbecues on a Sunday and so forth. And it's not uncommon to see families and friends gathering outside for such celebrations. So there's two types of LED external lighting. You can talk about LED hardscape lighting, which is a top choice for homeowners who love the ease and affordability that LED technology provides. LED hardscape lighting requires little energy use, lower energy costs, and reduces the carbon footprint. So hardscape lighting is something that's actually installed into the facade or the structure of the building, while other LED lighting, softscape lighting, will be into the garden or grass or in beds. So other LED lighting options offer many colorful and creative things, which can add unique touches to your hardscapes. For example, up and down, on wall, adjustable, spike, in-ground, uplights, linear, like snake lighting. Okay, on to the next slide. So landscape lighting is more than just the icing on the cake. It's more like the glue that bonds your project together, and your entire landscape lighting design will hold the project together tightly. The exterior lighting plan serves many purposes that does include impressing house guests, improving the homeowner's enjoyment of the home, lighting up walkways to prevent accidents, and setting the romantic mood, and even deterring potential break-ins. So let's talk quickly about the different types of landscape lighting. Floodlights. These are really good and effective for illuminating large areas, as well as security lighting, especially when you want them to be lit well. Floodlights can illuminate entire portions of a yard, like a patio or a garden. Up and down wall lights or adjustable lights, spotlights are used to highlight your favorite features, such as trees, walls, fountains, columns, you name it. You can use the spotlight to create uplighting or downlighting for different effects. The adjustability is there if you need it, which makes an easy movement for a project specification. Uplighting is when the light is pointed upward at an area or object, such as a plant, a tree, or any kind of feature. Downlighting is when the light shines down from above, like from up above a tree or at the top of the facade. Hardscape lighting, these lights are usually embedded in concrete and stone steps, walls, pathways, for safety reasons. They're often subtle, but still provide enough visibility for people to see whether they're going. You might see these in the steps leading toward the pool or integrated into seating areas around it. Linear lights, snake or rigid in-ground. Path lights are used in line and light pathways and staircases. These commonly substitute hardscape lights and in a wide range of styles. Path from the house to the pool with a combination path lights, hardscape lights. Just make sure you use the right type of lights. Areas that are close to the water, which has to do with the IP rating, which we'll go over towards the end. So when and where to use hardscape lighting, there are no hard, fast rules. Hardscapes are used for design and function and can be comprised of natural and man-made materials such as walkways, decks, patios, retaining walls, and planters. Without the help of strategic lighting placement, your hardscape features can be missed after the sun sets. Hardscape lighting provides many purposes. It can be utilized to call attention to the beauty, shine light on walking areas, or even provide an added layer of security. You may use hardscape lights to light up the spot of the homeowner's exterior, provide a safe passage through walkways, and creating ambience and add a subtle flair to your overall lighting design. So pool lighting ideas. Nowadays, there's so many broad options and unique designs that you can use to do, whether it be a commercial or residential. There are some codes relating to high voltage and over the pool, but luckily these days, a lot of the lighting that we do use is low voltage, particularly for external, which you're allowed to have within the pool or near the pool, as long as it's under 24 volts. So make sure that your lights are not in violation of regulating a building code in terms of how far they need to be from the surface of the pool. Also importantly is the IP rating, and if it's close to C, obviously needs to be marine grade or coastal suitable. So the choice of light is quite important to choose before specifying. You need to make sure of IP rating, the marine grade, which has to do with the powder coating and the materials actually used, and then as well as the voltage. So just remember to check those three things. Light your water features with spotlights. Uplight or downlight trees and plants with spotlights or spotlights. Uplight a wall with one or more of the wall washers. Arrange snake lighting around the perimeter of the pool area. Add hardscape lighting to steps and seating areas. Spotlight pottery statues and other unique features. So you can see around the pool, there's some snake lighting. Underneath the edge of the balcony, there's some snake lighting, which reflects nicely in the pool. And then you have another extra layer of lights, which is the wall lights with a defined beam, creating some dramatic effect on the walls. So you can see probably at the bottom of the stairs, which is a little bit unclear in the image, there's a recessed LED snake light. That type of fitting needs to be an IP65. You could go all the way to IP68 to be safe, but you wouldn't want to do anything less than IP65. The other important thing is to make sure that it is a UV stable product so that there's no cracking, which typically an LED opaque or plastic diffuser will not carry UV stable functionality. It needs to be a silicon-based product, like a snake or flexi kind of product, which you can see along here. Really, really simple. Usually just mounted on with a mounting channel and a low voltage cable running to the nearest transformer. Obviously be careful of voltage drop and hiding the cables suitably. So often with these products, you have a bending diameter, so they can curve, but that you need to be mindful that you are within the minimum bending radius. You can't do too tight of a curve. So just keep that in mind. We've had a few interesting projects with that. So here's some product characteristics. So they are flame resistant. This kind of product is silicon-based LED strip, UV resistant, as we mentioned, solvent resistant, saltwater resistant, up to IP68, so you can submerge it in a pool or a pond or boat, and then IK8 public spaces. So another interesting point is they can run up to 20 meters from a single drop, certain of the snake ranges, and they're able to do Dali, trailing edge, DMX kind of dimming, as well as chasing. So nowadays on the external of a building, you don't use neon anymore, you'll use an LED snake. These can chase, you can program them to do different kind of animations, whether they be color changing, dim to warm, and so on. Two types of bends. Some people call them horizontal, some people call them side. Basically, one of them will illuminate downwards and one of them will illuminate outwards. Important, obviously, to get it right when you specify. If you want to have the light shining down into the pool and as a curving, you're going to have a horizontal bend. It's going to wrap around the pool but illuminate down. If you want the illumination to pierce into the water, which can look really cool, you want to have a vertical bend, so it's going to be going around the pool but illuminating towards the water. So inwards or outwards, actually. If you ever have any questions about that kind of stuff, please feel free. We love talking about this. It's our passion, as you can see, so always happy to help. As you can see around the planters, there's some nice curved LED and a few other layers of light. You've got the festoon, probably low voltage bulbs, and some spike lights illuminating upwards. Again, some nice snake lighting. Up from above, you've got a pole illumination, which can be mounted on with a spot or something similar. And a really nice warm glow. So probably looking like a 2700K, which is my personal favorite for external. Here we have an up and down set of lights. So on the bottom, they've used a 60-degree, and on the top, they've used a narrow beam angle. So this is quite unique. Typically, the fitting will have the same beam angles, but for this instance, they wanted to create general lighting downwards. So they've used a nice wide beam angle, 60 degrees, and then shining upwards to make sure that they were illuminating quite far up the columns. They've gone for a 24-degree, which you can see is really effective. So here you have again, a nice use of beam angles. This is important to make sure that you specify correctly. Otherwise, you can end up with a big pool of lights on the floor. Beam angles these days go down to 9 degrees or lower. So it's really important to make sure that you are choosing the right beam angle for the right setting. The wall lights on the left, creating a nice wash against a dark wall, and the down lights up above, creating a nice thin beam to really bring out the feature in the nice paneling. The nice, beautiful, nice external facade with, terrace with some down lights. These look a bit wider to me, maybe like 4000K. Some more snake lights. So I'll just give you a brief rundown of my go-tos for external lighting. So number one, highlight trees, whether they're illuminated from below, from on top, or even with a tree strap, which is a spike that's mounted basically to the tree with a strap. This is important, and it creates a really nice feel in the garden. It's quite moody, it creates shadowing and adds a nice layer of light. You don't have to have too much light from within the garden, but the spike lights you can always add away indirectly, and really gives a nice layer of lighting. I'd usually recommend to go for a 40-degree for general lighting, and then for taller trees, you know, getting up there to 15, 24, depending on how wide and tall the tree is. So have a focus. The entryway is always center stage of the house. It's a nice way of saying welcome into the house. Similar to retail shops, they use illumination really bright in the front. This is a nice way to bring people into the house. So combine beauty and the function. For example, add lighting to plantings along with the footpath, and it breaks up the runway look of many lighting strung along the walk side. You want to vary the fixtures as you've seen in these photos. So use a mix of wall lights, down lights, strip lights, up lights. Keep it consistent, keep the color temperature consistent, and with the intention of your beam angles, use them consistently. Stick to a warm light. That's my recommendation. I personally prefer 2700K. The 3000K is often the go-to choice for warm light. And orchestrate. So automation is something that we didn't touch on, but it is becoming more and more popular, especially residentially. It's now very uncommon for a house to not have automation. These days, you don't have to have an expensive automation system or hard system. It can be wireless. There's some really, really interesting and great features coming out. We personally use a lot of Kasambi, which is a company out of Finland who offer lighting controls as an open source offering. So you can use their products or their automation with any type of lighting supplier, whether it be from TechLed, whether it be from Igazini, whether it be from anyone around the world. It's an open source and basically runs off Bluetooth, so there's no additional wiring, but it does give you the ability to have timing functions. It gives you the ability to turn dimming off at a certain time. You can access it remotely. And yeah, it's a really inexpensive and easy way to add automation for you or your clients. So thank you for listening to the talk. I've got a few photos, and if you do have any questions, please feel free to put your hands up and let me know. I'll just go through a few of these photos, but always please feel free to get in touch. If you've got any questions lighting related, we love to talk lights, so please feel free. So here's a recent job. That's actually just gone on the market. So they've just looked through the photos. We've got a few different layers of lights, the can lights under the facade, LED snake light underneath the steps, and the spike lights in the fronts. The can lights coming through. Some nice wall lights, stainless steel, and a snake light underneath. And at the back there, you've got three little in-ground lights from a New Zealand manufacturer that we use. This was the one and only Hayman Island before there was a hurricane a couple of years ago, but we used snake light throughout, illuminating the cabanas and the pot plants. It's a nice zoomed in photo. This is an interesting story. Basically, the facade of this house was that mesh. It actually looks into the window of the clients. It's in Bronte. And basically, because there was so much light on the inside, when you look through it, you could see straight through. So the way to overcome that was to create more light on the outside, and we created a privacy screen using the light. Before, if this was not on and the bedroom lights were on, you could literally see straight through into the bedroom. It's quite an effective way. Let's create that. This is Ocean, a new development that we worked on with Meriton in the Gold Coast. If anybody knows the spot, it's right smack bang on the beach. So we've used all marine grade downlights, strip lights, and snake lights. Really, really harsh environments. The way you overcome that, as I said before, is using the proper materials and powder coating, and you'll be sure to have the lights lasting for years. So this particular manufacturer offers a 7-year warranty, not only on the electrical, but also on the powder coating, which is quite unique. That's a nice snake light. And there's some low voltage linear pendants in the pool. And you can see we've actually used it over the pool because it's low voltage, no problems at all. And adds a really nice, soft and cozy feel. These are some of the New Zealand marine grade products that I've spoken a little bit about. But there's a numerous range of ways to get the right product externally. So yeah, please always feel free to give us a call.
Thank you very much, Adam.
Pleasure. Do we have time for some Q&A?
We do, and there's a few questions that have come through. Would you like me to read them out for you?
Yes, certainly.
So Lee has posted a question and said he started a design business. Please help me determine what type of lighting is best suited. I'm just wondering whether maybe we can share your contact details again.
Yeah, definitely. So we're happy to help with the design, but for anyone else, Lee particularly, get in contact and we'll work through it, send through the RCP, and we can talk over some design options and specification, beam angles, the works.
George has asked, what is DALI lighting?
So DALI is a type of automation. It's digital addressable line in. That's what it stands for. And basically previously, before we had wireless control systems, you would run a RJ45, which is basically your internet cable, into each light fitting's power source. And the reason why they did that is so you get data out of each light fitting. Say you have a 5-story building, each light fitting will create a diagnosis and you'll be able to know if any lights failed, but you'll also be able to address each individual light digitally. Nowadays, with wireless technology, you don't actually have to run that same cable. You can use a Bluetooth puck in Kasami or similar, and you can send signals between signals. So all the lights create a mesh, and you can save money with cabling, and it's just a whole lot easier. The dimming that you get with DALI is second to none. It's the best type of dimming. Typically, when you're using normal dimming, you're choking the voltage on lights. With DALI, you're giving it a digital signal to dim. So you will never get that flickering. You know, sometimes you hear about the horror stories of off-peak and on-peak, with the electricity. So you don't get that with DALI because it's dimmed in a different segment. You won't have the problem with the flickering.
Okay, thank you. And I've just seen Sarah Jane's posted your contact details in the chat box. So
okay, awesome. Thank you.
Can you do color lighting in the pool?
Yes, definitely. I think we didn't use it this time, but we do have a nice photo of Jupiter's casino pool. Basically, it's just an RGBW product. So LED strip with an RGBW, and you can have a controller changing the colors, flicking through animations, very easily done and very nice and effective way to make a fun scene in the pool.
Thank you. Anne has asked, can you explain a bit more about automation?
Ooh, where to start? Okay, good question, Anne. So automation in a nutshell, I think we're seeing more and more of it in everything that we use these days, whether it be your air conditioning, whether it be your alarm systems. Basically for lighting, I think one of the key things is having a set control. So maybe you do come in at different times of the day and you will turn on and off lighting, but to some extent you would like a level of automation, whether it be at 7 p.m. your lights to turn on to say 60%, and then at 9 or 10 p.m. for them to dim down, followed by say midnight them to turn off completely with one night light on. So if you have that level of automation, this would automatically happen. As well as you can automate things with sensors. So the sensors can detect you coming in. They will automatically turn your lights on to a 30% state, and then a couple of minutes later. So there's different levels of automation. It is quite handy to have the different scenes, and you can have maybe your favorite scenes. Maybe you have a dinner scene and you have your lights turned to 40%. Maybe you have a party scene and your color, the pool animation goes from red, green, blue, and yellow. There's a few different options with automation, but it's basically to make our lives a little bit easier and have preset scenes, at the palm of your hand.
Sure. There's a question about rust in pools.
So rust in pools, I'm thinking you're talking about snake lighting within the actual submerged pools, or maybe even in an enclosed pool for commercial. So that's where we use things like marine grade products. If you were using a snake and LED in the pool, you would just groove it out and use the aluminium. That's what I would recommend, to actually just get a template and cut out the groove, and then use these silicone products. You won't have any issues with rust. In terms of downlights and things like that, using a really high grade of aluminium. For example, the photo that we have up on the screen is a company called Switch in New Zealand, and they specialize in marine grade products. The first generation of downlights actually used the same grade of aluminium as a magnesium wheel, and which basically was not only the powder coating stopped rusting, but because it was such a high level of aluminium, it really lasted the year. So they warrants not only the electricity, but the powder coat for 7 years. And they do that if you're next to the beach, if you're on a boat. So it really, really shows the difference between, a cheap kind of budget downlight to a marine grade, a little bit more expensive premium kind of downlight. And these downlights have been great in Sydney, Queensland, Ocean. We've used them all around the coast, and we can really see the difference between that and a kind of a budget painted finish.
Thank you. Jack has asked, can you replace lights underwater, plug and play, or do you need to empty the pool?
You unfortunately do need to empty the pool, yes.
Okay, thank you. And Anna said, how exactly do you manage the automation? Is it through the phone with an app?
So I'll just bounce back to Jack. Jack, unless you wanted to use a solar or a wireless light, that's the other way around it, a cheap way to do it. Sorry. So Anne, so yes, so there's a few ways to do it. You do have the option through your phone, which these days is really nice, because if you did use a C-bus or anything like that back in the old days, you have a big chunky box, which you need to call someone out to get upgraded, and it's costly and it takes time. These days, you can have everything on a phone, iPad, smartphone. You can do it yourself. You can get someone else to do it. You can get someone to log in remotely. And instead of having people come and upgrade your system, you just simply do an upgrade of the software. You can set your scenes and animate, change things the way you want, but you can also have override switches. So you can have on and off switches. You can have push buttons. So the way, if you want to dim things on the wall, you basically have a push button dimmer, and you have another Bluetooth device behind it, and that Bluetooth device becomes into your mesh. So you can set if you want the push button to turn your lights on, if you want them to dim it down. The world's your oyster with that. Kasambi and Bluetooth, Kasambi is just one of the systems that we use, has really come a long way, and you can do everything with that you could do with wired systems.
Thank you. There's another question from Peter saying, if the lights are automated and there's a power outage, do all the lights come on when the power is resumed?
No. So one of the reasons, I just had an interesting project where somebody wanted to use push buttons, but he had a bad experience because people had pressed the push button in his old place, and they'd messed around with it and it would go, sometimes they were 60%, sometimes they were 80%. So part of the automation on the app is you can save it to last save setting. So if you want the lights always to turn on to 60%, they will always turn on to 60%. If you want them always to turn on to 80%, so you'll set that. So if the power goes out, they'll be set or turn on to the last save scene.
Okay. So answer your question, Peter, hopefully. I think that, I know there's some more that have come through, I think. Anna said, does that program mean the lights and security can work from the same system, or is it two different systems?
So it is typically two different, that Kasambi is two different systems, but there is other programs like Control 4, or there's other, that's one. The Kasambi is specifically a lighting system. There are many different offerings that have the whole package, Control 4 and a few other things that can bring it all together. The Kasambi is specifically just a really high-end lighting control system where you would control it separately or have a separate kind of animation, but they can also build into a back end of whether it be CBus, Dynalight, or other kind of systems.
Okay. Martin has asked, are CAD models available, such as Revit families, that can be inserted directly into CAD software?
So there are some Revit, some of our products have some Revit. We do have a lot of IES files available, which we work regularly with lighting designers doing CAD or Dialux or things like that. I think that's what you're talking about, Martin.
Yep. And George has asked, do you charge for a lighting design?
So George, we can offer a consultation for a basic lighting design, but there are different levels. We work with other lighting designers to help kind of bring the costs down. We often try and help out and facilitate a cheaper price on their lighting design systems, but they're typically the first basic level of offering would be no, we don't, and then we can help to have different levels of packages. Sure.
All right. I think, no, there is another one. Taylor said, is there lighting available to run off 24-volt power supply direct, or will they only work as standard with 230-volt AC and ballast transformers?
Is it light? Yes, most lights, particularly LEDs and low voltage stuff, is run off 24 volts. So that's not a problem. Maybe you're talking about for your boat or your caravan. But yes, currently in our showroom in Sydney, we've got a factory here, and most of the stuff that we make and manufacture, we put together with 24 volts light sources. So yeah, if you do have anything that you'd like made up or custom request, we can do it in 12 or 24 or even 240 volts. It's a little bit more flexible than it used to be.
Sure. All right. That, I think, is it. Thank you, Adam.
That's ask as you dropped that, but no, that was a good time.
lots of good questions. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing that information. It was really, really useful. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer.
So that wraps up our meeting for today. Big thank you again to our presenters, and thank you all for joining us. And for those that asked questions, it's great. The next meeting is at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, the 2nd of May. So we'll look forward to seeing you all again then. And bye for now. All right, bye.